Welcome back. Today we are going to continue to explore a little bit about Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, one of the greatest mystics of our church.
And this is a series, an ongoing series that we've been doing, and we've done some in the past. We're going to continue in the future, but you might be wondering, where are we getting all this information? So here's a little bit about the source.
The information we share comes from the life of the Venerable Anna Maria Taigi, published in 1873. Anna Maria lived from 1769 to 1837. Writing about 36 years after her death, her biographer, Edward Healy Thompson, drew from witness testimonies and documents gathered during the Church's investigation into her life. Among his principal sources were Cardinal Pedicini, Anna Maria's confessor, Father Filippo Luigi di San Nicola, and Monsignor Raphael Natali, whom is described as the priest appointed to receive her revelations. The stories we share are drawn from these historical testimonies, preserved and recorded by people who knew Anna Maria personally and whose accounts became part of the historical record surrounding her cause.
So this source is a wonderful resource because it's first-hand accounts of her life, unlike many of the other information about her. So happy to share all this information with you. Now, regarding her gift, as mentioned before, God gave her this luminous disc, looked like a sun in front of her. And anytime she thought of a topic and looked into the sun, she knew that topic completely, regarding all things past, present, and future. So we've talked about this before, but this is what Cardinal Pedicini has to say about this gift.
There is not the slightest doubt, but that the divinity resided in a special manner in the mysterious Son. Thanks to this extraordinary and truly unexampled favor, Anna Maria possessed and enjoyed the knowledge of all things in God, so far as it may be had in this life. The knowledge of all things in God was always at her disposal, so far as the intelligence of a soul still in the condition of this present life is capable of such knowledge.
Jesus once told Blessed Anna Maria that the gift that he had given her was unlike any gift he had given to anyone else in the entire history of mankind. And so it was unique. He also said that if people had known what he had given her, they would fall down on their knees trembling, not because of Anna Maria's holiness, but because of his presence around her and in her life through this mysterious gift. Now, if you look throughout salvation history, God grants his presence sometimes in remarkable ways to individuals or groups of people. Think about Moses in the burning bush. That was pretty remarkable. His presence was there. You also have the Ark of the Covenant with God's people. And then again, you have, when they're fleeing Egypt, God leading them with his presence, the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. And so how much more can God give his presence now in the new covenant? And of course, we experience that in the sacraments. But here, Blessed Anna Maria Taigi's unique gift given to her in God's presence in this mysterious Son.
According to her confessor, Anna Maria did not need books to meditate on the mysteries of the faith. Whenever she turned her mind to an event from the life of Christ, it appeared before her in the mysterious Son. If she reflected on the agony in the garden, she saw the betrayal of Judas, the suffering of Christ, and the flight of the apostles. She spoke of the journey into Egypt, the Last Supper, and other moments from the Gospel, as though she had witnessed them herself.
She also described the house of Nazareth, the simple life of the Holy Family, and even details of Mary's life after the Ascension while living in the home of St. John the Evangelist. The same was true of the saints. If she wished to contemplate the martyrdom of St. John the Baptist or behold the face of one of the blessed, she believed a single glance into the mysterious Son was enough.
Among all the saints, she had a particular devotion to Saint Joseph. According to the account, she saw him as youthful, strong, and handsome, though older than Mary, as befitted the guardian of the Holy Family. She believed the common portrayal of Saint Joseph as an old man arose more from reverence than historical reality.
So her life was filled continuously with private revelation. But interestingly, she didn't share that with people unless she was under holy obedience. So she kept it to herself. The other thing was that as people started to get to know her and they recognized this extraordinary gift, she started having people come into her life seeking spiritual counsel, which would eventually become what she called like a second family or sons of her soul, who she guided through the spiritual life. And some of them, particularly the men here, became priests.
Regarding those that she guided spiritually, according to her confessor, she seemed to know the temptations they were facing even before they spoke about them. When they visited her, she would sometimes gently point out that they had been, in her words, parleying with the devil, dwelling on a temptation instead of turning away from it. She often warned them not to entertain temptations or bargain with them in their minds. Instead, she urged them to resist them immediately and not give the devil an opportunity to gain a foothold.
Over time, these spiritual sons became so familiar with Anna Maria's extraordinary insights that many would seek her counsel before receiving Holy Communion. They would simply ask whether they could approach the altar without fear. Anna Maria would then glance at the mysterious son and reply,
"Do not distress yourself," or at other times, "Make an act of contrition for a fault you forgot to confess, or for something you have done since your last confession."
So what does this all mean for us? And I think this is what is really important and why I feel really drawn to share Anna Maria Taigi with you, is that in her earthly life, she had sons and daughters that she guided, and she helped tremendously, and we'll continue sharing with you some of those instances. But the point is this: why can't we become her spiritual son or daughter now by entrusting ourselves into her intercession? And I think that's the real important key as we continue on through this series, because as you will see, she continuously helped people in the spiritual life. She is a mother, a homeschooling mother of 7. She lives just a normal everyday life other than this mysterious son, but she's focused on domestic matters. So we can go to her to help live out just the domestic life. That's who she is. She helps so many tremendously in her earthly life, and she can even more help us now through her heavenly life.
One day, Monsignor Guerreri was giving benediction of the Blessed Sacrament in the Church of San Bartolomeo on the Piazza Colonna. Among those present was Anna Maria. As she looked into the mysterious Son, she perceived the mental distress and interior suffering with which the Archbishop was burdened. After benediction, Anna Maria sent word that she wished to speak with him.
When they met, she described the interior pains he had experienced and offered him wise spiritual counsel. The Archbishop was astonished. Not only had she known the hidden struggles he had endured, but her advice brought him great consolation.
From that day forward, Monsignor Guerreri held Anna Maria in the highest regard and remained on close and confidential terms with her for the rest of his life.
So a question for you: are you experiencing mental distress, interior worry, anxiety? Well, here we have a friend in heaven who perceived somebody else's mental distress, gave him great advice. Again, how much more can she help us now in her heavenly life?
According to one witness, Anna Maria's insight into the hearts and intentions of others sometimes enabled her to prevent great tragedies. One such case involved a man for whose salvation she had taken a particular interest. While thinking about him one day, Anna Maria looked into the mysterious Son and suddenly called for a messenger. She instructed him to go at once to the man's house. Financial troubles had plunged him into a deep melancholy, and he was being violently tempted by the devil to take his own life.
The messenger hurried to the man's home and found him alone in the room, greatly agitated. After delivering Anna Maria's message and attempting to calm him, the man made a remarkable confession. Had the messenger arrived even 1 minute later, he said he would have used the pistol to end his life. So what's the lesson for us here? Do you have people in your life who are struggling with mental health issues? Blessed Anna Maria helped those in her earthly life who struggled with this. She can continue to help those who struggle now. Who in your life do you care for that is struggling? Entrust them to her intercession.
One witness recalled the striking example of Anna Maria's discernment. At the time, he was accustomed to visiting Father Di Capistrano, the general of the Observantine miners. One day, Father Di Capistrano spoke highly of a nun from Monte Castrillo, praising her gifts and virtues. When the witness spoke of his confidence in Anna Maria, Father Di Capistrano asked him to consult her and learn what she thought of the religious woman.
When the matter was first mentioned, Anna Maria gave no reply. The witness noted that she was always very careful when charity towards another person's reputation was involved. But when he persisted, she finally said, "It is useless for you to go and get an answer. Do not lose your time in all these visits." That was all she said.
The witness immediately sensed that something was wrong and stopped visiting Father di Capistrano. Not long afterward, Father di Capistrano and the nun from Monte Castrillo were summoned before the Holy Office and were disciplined. Another witness recounted a similar incident involving Cardinal Franzoni.
The cardinal had received a letter containing a series of prophecies. He shared them in confidence and asked that Anna Maria be consulted. Her response was brief and direct. No value, she said, should be attached to these predictions because the confessor involved had exaggerated the matter and made far too much of it. This is another example of Anna Maria's discernment that became very widely respected. In the book, The Life of Venerable Anna Maria Taigi, it cites a number of examples where Anna Maria guides people away from false prophecy or false supernatural advice. The point of sharing this with you is that sometimes it's difficult to know what voices to trust. How is God leading and guiding us? Is the advice we're getting from friends or from a priest or some person who's supposedly holy, solid, and sound? Well, we can ask Blessed Anna Maria's help in guiding us through these waters. Now, as we continue on in this video, you're going to hear a priest's name mentioned a few times, Father Natali, and he's the one that was appointed to receive all her private revelations.
One day, Monsignor Cristaldi confided in Father Natali that he was troubled. He was preparing for a journey to Naples, but a holy Passionist priest had warned him not to go, predicting that he would die there. Although Cristaldi placed little faith in modern prophecies, the warning weighed heavily on his mind.
Unsure what to do, he asked Father Natali if he knew a holy person who might pray about the matter and seek God's guidance. Father Natali promised to consult someone he trusted. When he brought the request to Anna Maria, she looked into the mysterious sun and laughed.
"Tell him to go without fear," she replied. "His journey will be successful and his return even more so." She then revealed details about a private concern that had been occupying Cristaldi's mind, something he had never disclosed to anyone.
Anna Maria also instructed Father Natali to tell him that while in Naples he should seek out two nuns. One was widely regarded as a saint, but was actually under an illusion. The other was thought to be unstable and was largely dismissed, yet she was the true saint.
When Father Natali relayed Anna Maria's message, Monsignor Cristaldi was astonished. The concern she had addressed was a secret he had never shared with another soul.
"I have never told anyone. I've kept it in the depths of my heart." Reassured, he departed for Naples. According to witnesses, everything unfolded exactly as Anna Maria had foretold.
Years later, Monsignor Cristaldi had become Cardinal Cristaldi. After suffering several illnesses, he was struck by another sickness that at first appeared to be minor. The Cardinal himself expected a quick recovery.
But Anna Maria saw something different. Looking into the mysterious sun, she became convinced that his death was near. Wanting him to be spiritually prepared, she sent him a warning and urged him to put his affairs into order while he still could.
The Cardinal listened. He accepted her counsel, made the necessary preparations, and resigned himself to God's will. Only a few days later, he died.
Father Natali tells another story of an Irish noblewoman named Mrs. Reddington. Although Anna Maria had never met her, Father Natali knew her well. He described her as a pious woman, but one who struggled with pride and a certain haughtiness of character.
After Mrs. Reddington recommended herself to his prayers, Father Natali mentioned her to Anna Maria. At the time, Anna Maria was confined to bed. Looking into the mysterious sun, she revealed details about the woman's secret thoughts and interior struggles.
Later that evening, Father Natali met with Mrs. Reddington as she was preparing to leave for a social gathering. When he repeated what Anna Maria had said, she was overcome with astonishment. Falling at his feet, she exclaimed,
"All you have told me is perfectly true. You are a saint." Father Natali quickly replied,
"I am no saint, but only the echo of a pious soul who wishes to remain unknown." The warning concerned suspicions she had been entertaining and a temptation to judge another person unfairly, thoughts that Anna Maria urged her to reject.
Though the two women never met, Mrs. Reddington thereafter conceived a profound esteem for Anna Maria and never forgot the encounter.
So the question for you today is this: are you tempted to entertain suspicions of other people? Are you tempted with unfair judgments of their life and their motivations? We can all fall into this. So the point of sharing this is to say, well, we can ask Blessed Anna Maria Taigi's intercession. As she helped people in her earthly life, I think it's fair to say that we can ask her intercession now. And you'll continue to see throughout the series how she helped people. And the point of pointing that out is to say, look, she helped people in this way. Why couldn't she help us now? So we hope that you're encouraged by this video. Thanks for sticking here to the end, and we'll see you soon. Oh, and Blessed Anna Maria Taigi,
Pray for us.